Hi, welcome to the first episode of Ara Ara podcast. I'm your host Vivz, and I have here with me my two co-hosts, Arianne and Amy. How are you, ladies? How are
Good,
you?
good.
I'm
How are
good.
you?
Thank
I'm good
you.
as well. How are you, Arianne? How's life?
I'm good. Life is it is what it is.
Like a box of chocolates.
How about you, Amy? How are
Exactly.
you?
It's all right. It's good. Excited that we're doing the first episode.
Finally, after months of
Yeah.
preparation.
Woo!
Woo! Okay, so ladies, I have a question for you both. Do you know what Ara Ara means? How about Arya? Let's ask you first. Do you know what is Ara Ara?
Okay. Um in the group, I am the complete noob. I have zero knowledge as to what Ara
Mhm.
Ara is, so I don't even know if I'm pronouncing it correctly. So I will leave the explanation to both you girls because I don't want to make a mistake. But yeah, it best to my knowledge, it is something that you get. I don't know, from anime. I have absolutely no idea, so I'll leave it up to you guys to explain
It's
what it
okay. That's
is.
actually the point of this podcast for us to share to the audience what is Ara Ara and what are we gonna be talking about. So, Amy, how about you? What do you know or what is Ara Ara?
I'm not so sure, except the fact that it has like sexual connotations to it. It's like ara ara,
That's
and
what
you're
I
like,
heard too.
That's why,
okay, that's
hence the intro. the mm.
Ara, ara.
You guys are laughing now. In the next few episodes, you guys will be doing it too. So, okay. So,
I have to practice.
Amy, so
I have to
what else do
practice.
you know aside from the sexual
um
connotation behind it?
I think it means oh my, and then it's sort of like just continued from there.
Mm-hmm.
That's about it. Like I'm not really sure
Mm-hmm.
anything
I
aside
am
from that.
googling it now.
Yeah. Okay.
UrbanDictionary.com.
Yeah,
But yeah,
here
you're
we go.
actually correct. Ara ara means oh my in Japanese, or it's
Mhm.
just like my or oh my. Like it's just an
Mhm.
expression.
Yeah.
It's not actually a sexual term, but it recently became over popular since most of the characters who are using that term, the ara ara term, are the sexy type or the queen type or the seductive type of character, right? So ever since then, it now gained that reputation of being the a sexual term when it's supposed to be not a sexual term. Okay?
Yeah.
So,
It's just an expression.
yeah.
I looked it up and that's what it says.
Yeah.
It's just oh my.
Mm. But you know how weebs are. Degenerates. mm.
Mm.
Okay, so let's move on. What is Ara Ara podcast? What will it be about? What do you want to talk about the podcast, Amy?
It's like it's gonna be basically because we have Ariane, we have you, and we have me, and we're all like really different.
Mm.
Like you're like more exposed to anime than the most of us. Like
Mm.
you're the more weeb one out of the three of us, and then
I don't know if I should be flattered
Wait,
or
we
what.
have we have to pause.
flattering
We have to
because
pause right here. We kind of have to pause right here. Weeb is not necessarily a derogatory term.
yeah, no, it's
It's
not.
essentially just right.
Mm.
Yeah, and especially because we're making an anime podcast, it shouldn't be. You shouldn't
Yeah,
feel insulted by it. So and then like Aryan is
not at all.
yeah,
Not at
exactly.
all.
Mm.
And so like Aryan is more like not clueless, but like she
I'm the
hasn't
zero,
been
zero knowledge.
more zero knowledge. And I think I might be like just be in between, like I'm the normie one, you know? So I mean
Slightly
it's
normie, slightly weeb.
but so it's gonna so I think like the podcast has to like it's more of like an exploration. It's gonna be like a journey for the three of us and how we see like the world of anime basically.
Mm. Mm. I agree. How about you, Aryan?
I agree. I agree. So, um, this is my foray into the rabbit hole, so to speak. The rabbit hole. I mean, not to say that. Okay, probably I'm not starting out with zero knowledge, but I have very, very little exposure.
Mm.
I
Yeah.
mean, I only know a handful of animes. I do love Japan, but for the more particular details about anime, I have absolutely no idea. I mean, when people talk about it, when people rave about it, I can get the enthusiasm,
Mm.
but I don't know where it's coming from. So I guess this is a way for me to really understand what's going on. I mean, I I would like to know more because with a handful that I've
Mm.
seen, I know that there's a lot more material to take in. There's a lot more to explore, and I'm excited to do that with you guys.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I'm excited too because see, girls, this is the time for me to connect with my tribe. Yo, the weebs there.
Yeah.
Man, we're gonna be doing this. We will be talking about anime and gaming, everything that I grew up with, right? So the excitement for me is just literally there. You know, my enthusiasm to start this anime podcast is just so much that I couldn't contain it. So for me, this podcast will be dedicated to weebs, to the weeb culture. We will be discussing anime, manga, gaming, cosplay, anything about Japan. That's it. That's basically
Yes,
it, right?
yes.
So what I'm expecting
Otaku-ness.
to otaku-ness, yeah. But those two terms actually get interchanged a lot, otaku and weeb. So
Right.
in the future, we'll be discussing about it more. For me, what I want to talk about in this podcast is like the anime culture, anime type of games that people play, animes that did not age where well, there's a lot of them which we are going to
I
be
mean,
talking about in
There-
the future. Um,
Those are the ones that I've heard about. Those are the ones that I've
mm.
heard about. I probably watched a couple of them.
Like there are some animes now that if you play it on television, people will be like protesting, like why is it on TV? It's not gonna be safe for my kids, you know. But for us, like man, yeah, okay.
True.
And
yeah.
then what else? Like LGBT community and cosplaying. Like I am just so amazed how people in the cosplay community are. Like you wouldn't even be able to guess if that person or that picture that you're looking at is a girl or a boy that trying to cosplay another or an anime
Yeah.
character,
Yeah,
right? So it's
gender bent.
yeah, it's just no, not even gender bend. Like for example, I saw a Naruto cosplay that I didn't know the one who's cosplaying Naruto is a lady.
Was this Jin?
Yeah, it's
Was
Jin.
this Jin?
Yeah, so we will be talking about that as well. Like I'm just so amazed how they can change how they look like. And anime
Right.
conventions. Have you guys been to anime conventions? Or conventions in
Several,
general?
yeah. I miss
Mm.
it actually.
No,
Yeah.
I haven't been. I mean, here we have the MEFCC, like here in Dubai, the Middle East Film and Cosplay Convention. I think that's the full term of it.
Mhm.
But I haven't. I mean, like, and people like dress up obviously because it's Comic Con, but not really like an anime con. No.
I see. So those are the topics that we will be looking forward in the future. We will be adding more as we go along this journey. So now I am sure the audience will be curious about our origin story. Like, who are these ladies talking about anime and
Origin.
gaming? Origin story. Like,
You make it sound like we're superheroes.
why not?
I think I'm more of a super villain type, not the hero type.
I'm a villain too.
Villains have more like origin story, like have cooler origin stories. So I mean,
Yeah. Well, okay, so I want to ask Arian first. Like, what got you into anime or gaming, or what got you into this? What made you interested?
What made me a geek?
Yeah,
Is
what made
what
you a
made, I think the right.
geek?
Yeah, I think the more appropriate question would be what made me. How did I become a geek?
Mm.
Um, I don't know. I learned how to read at an early age, and because of that, I got exposed to a lot of other things. And this was before the age of the internet. So, but please do not try to guess my age. I unknown. If I were was this? If I were a character in a card, the age would be unknown. But yeah. Uh,
Question mark.
yeah. Yeah. Question mark.
Hmm.
TBD to be determined.
But it doesn't look. It doesn't show naman. It
Yeah.
doesn't look
Yeah,
like it. So.
yeah.
Yes. That's the
As long
objective.
as like you look young and it's fine. I mean,
I have
this is Ara
found the
Ara
I have found the
Astro.
fountain of youth.
Yeah,
Oh, ara, ara.
Ara
yeah.
Ara. Oh my god.
I
I
don't want to
always
say
worry
Okay.
it.
about you.
I imagine a certain term that I'm
Jeez.
not gonna say, but it's up to you guys to think what that term was.
Mm.
Okay, Ariane.
Mm. Mm. Okay. Going back. I like what I said. I learned how to read at an early age,
Mhm,
and that kind of got me into a lot of things. So reading was kind of like a gateway for me. So comics was my first exposure to geekdom,
mhm,
so to speak. And when I was younger, our first family console was um, actually it wasn't a family console. I was just playing it over at my cousin,
mhm.
so it was an Atari. God, that's such an exposure to my age.
We're not gonna
It
say
betrays my
anything. We're
age.
not gonna say
Yeah, yeah.
anything.
So first console that I ever played was an Atari, and the game was Enduro, and if I'm not mistaken,
Mhm,
Galaga. So that was my first foray into video games, and then I also got to play with the Sega Genesis. Favorite game was Mortal Kombat, so favorite character was Sonya. Um, and my signature move was a leg grab. Uh, and then Nintendo came
mhm,
along, and then PlayStation, PS2. Didn't get the PS3, and then PS4. So let's fast forward to the PS4 because between having the PlayStation, wherein I would ask my brother to play, and I would not hold the remote, the controller, but he would be the one playing the character, but I would be directing him as to where to go, what are the answers to the puzzles.
a
But
living
fast
guide
forward
through
to
the time that
yeah,
there's
yeah,
no
yeah, yeah.
magazines, no
Right.
There's no
internet.
magazines.
You just have
Yeah, well,
to.
there were magazines, but they were so
Expensive, and
expensive,
they're not
so
available in the
expensive. So yeah,
Philippines.
and if you had to get a walkthrough, you have to print out what this thick
A book.
of this pro- a bunch of papers this
Yeah.
thick. Yeah, I remember that distinctly because my brother-in-law actually did that for
Mm,
Final Fantasy. So that's why we were able to complete everything.
mm,
But yeah, fast forward to 2017, I got my own PlayStation 4 because I was depressed at that time, and a friend came over, brought his PlayStation, and he actually played Overwatch, and I sucked at it in such an embarrassing way.
mm,
But I figured there are other games that I could play, and I did enjoy it, even though I got completely annihilated in that game. So I went out and bought my own, and there was no turning back from there. And the unit that I actually got was the PlayStation Hits,
mm.
and the games that it came with were Drive Club, which I never played. Really bad eye hand coordination, uh, but I powered through Horizon Zero Dawn, and I didn't get to play Last of Us because God, I'm so scared.
Me
But yeah,
too.
uh,
Like that genre is my weakness. Like I can only watch
I mean,
my
I'd like
brothers,
to.
but I cannot play it.
Yeah,
I don't have the
same,
guts.
same, same. Like what I said earlier. I would just really coach my brother to um
Mhm,
across all of the games that we played. So Silent Hill, we did finish that. We managed to finish that, but never held the controller. It
mhm,
was always just him.
mhm.
Yeah, 2017 finished Tomb Raider, got my got my own games, finished Tomb Raider until eventually I got sucked into that rabbit hole that I wasn't just buying games. I was really getting the collector's editions.
I
And I was
think
really
you
looking
bought the
forward to
latest Horizon Zero Dawn, right?
yes, yes, yes. Such a win, such a win. It didn't really come out for pre-order in the
Mm,
Philippines, but there were a bunch of shops. But I asked my niece.
mhm.
I went that low. My niece.
Well, girl, that's not
That's
no.
right.
It has to be
Yeah,
done.
What you
You
need to
did
do,
what
yeah,
you
it
you need
had
had
to
to.
to
do.
do.
It had to be done. It had to be done. And I actually timed my lunch break at work
Mhm.
just so I could make sure, because there was a specific time within the day that you could get the pre-orders, and I know it was probably just gonna run out fast because that's how
Mhm.
much people were looking forward to Forbidden
I
West.
just want to
So
mention
yeah.
the perks of working in a call center with a
Mm.
flexible schedule. I know
Uh,
that, girl.
Yeah,
I've been
yeah.
there, done that.
So I'm just grateful that I was able to do that, because otherwise it would really suck. Because after I got my own PlayStation, and I learned about Horizon Zero Dawn, and by that time that was around June 2017, and Horizon came out February.
Mhm.
I felt really bad that I didn't get into gaming that at that time, because I would have wanted the collector's edition. But thanks to eBay, I was able to get that. Yeah, but yeah, so that's how I got sucked into gaming. But other stuff,
How about anime?
Japan, I'm in love with anime. There's a handful. So when I was younger, I would watch
Mhm.
Ranma. So my favorite character was the dad who turns into a panda.
I forgot his
So
name.
there's that.
Mhm.
I forgot his name, but I liked him the most. So, and I also like Shampoo. But the one anime that stood out was Chobits.
Chobits. Yes,
Yeah,
girl.
stood out.
right.
It stood out so much that I cosplayed it. This was back in what, 2005,
Do you
Mhm.
have a
2005,
photo of it?
2005, 2000. Yeah,
Ooh.
but I look so.
Hmm.
I weighed.
Girl, it
I
doesn't
weighed.
matter.
It
It's like I
doesn't matter.
lost.
You
It's like
still
I.
cosplayed it. We need
You
to see
gotta show
it.
Yeah.
us. Mhm.
Well,
I'm gonna send
I'll
it over.
probably flash it on the screen in a future episode. But yeah, I
Okay.
cosplayed Chobits in an office setup, and so that there's Chobits, and I also like um Cabaneri, Iron Fortress of Cabaneri,
Mhm.
and watched some of K-On,
Mhm.
watched and some of the Ghibli
Mhm.
films. I especially liked Totoro,
Yeah, my
my
neighbor.
neighbor Totoro, my neighbor Totoro.
Mhm.
But one, I don't think I can handle watching Grave of the Fireflies anymore.
Oh
So
Oh.
yeah, yeah.
yeah,
How old were you when you watched
and
it?
I was. Please don't ask.
Don't ask the
No,
age, girl. That's
no,
a taboo
No,
question.
but yeah.
I mean you could
So
have watched it late in life.
yeah, yeah. I watched it. Okay, I watched it a decade back. That film's old anyway, but I watched
Yeah,
it a
yeah.
decade back, and I watched it with family.
Mhm.
And I'm just grateful that when I watched it, I wasn't the only one crying in the room. So
Mhm.
Yeah.
yeah, so there's that. And the more of the latest ones, I like
Mhm.
I like Your Name, and I like Weathering with You. So yeah, that's my foray into anime. So just really like what I told you, literally just a handful of titles that I've really
Mhm.
gone through. So I'm really excited to go through any suggestions that you've had, because there's a lot of selections over at Netflix, but I think it's best that I actually get feedback from folks who
Actually
are
watched it.
really
Yeah.
into it. Yeah, so
Yeah.
that's me.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Your
I
turn,
I
guys.
can totally relate to Aryan's story because for me, I grew up with two brothers. Okay, and while growing up, anime was shown on TV every single day. Like I started watching Ghost Fighter or Yu Yu Hakusho, Flame of Recca, Dragon Ball Z, Hunter x Hunter. Those are the usual stuff that you will see on TV at that time. And then for me, when I was, in school, there are some kids who like anime as well, and then we get to talk about it. And there came a time also that we had cable connection, so I got exposure into Animax. Are you guys familiar with Animax?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so
That's
Animax.
where I watched Chobits. Yeah.
Me same. Me too. And I was so scared because for me when I was watching Chobits, I was with my aunt. And
Right.
there was
And there were.
I'll tell you guys a short story. So I was with my aunt, and the animes were shown in Japanese dub. Only subtitles, English subtitles. So for me, that time I'm not fluent that much in English yet. So
Okay.
I have to read subtitles, I have to study. Sometimes if I have the time, I look it up in the dictionary because I don't know the terms, some of them, because I was, I think, 9 or 10 or maybe 8. I don't know. I don't remember the exact age. And then there was this one episode of Chobits where she was asked by Hideki to buy a lingerie, to buy
I
herself
remember
some
this episode.
lingerie,
Yeah. In that
right?
little store, right?
Yeah, because so imagine me watching that episode with my aunt. She was sitting beside me, and then there was this part
Come on.
that she couldn't buy.
You don't have to go far. The first episode when
Yeah,
the first episode
exactly.
when he was trying to figure out how to
Just
turn on
opening,
chi.
exactly. Just like just to turn on a
See,
persicom, you know.
that's literally. But girl, I wasn't with anybody when I saw that scene, so it was still
Right.
fine. But watching it with my aunt, and then their thing, so it ended up like she wasn't able to buy the lingerie, so Hideki had to buy it from the store, and then the people were
It's like the
what?
it's like the equivalent of watching a kissing scene with family, right?
Yeah.
But man, this
And
is
you're
so
just like,
different though. Okay, so Hideki went and buy the lingerie, and he was being called hentai.
yeah.
Hentai by the people.
Mm.
So it was just a subtitle that says pervert. So for me, I
Right.
didn't understand what hentai meant. But my
Oh
aunt
no!
looked
Did you
at
ask your
me.
aunt?
She was so shocked. She just looked at me like, what the hell is happening? And at the time, of course, I was a kid. I didn't know what it meant. So the next day I came to school, I thought what it meant was gay, a gay person. Okay, like hentai, gay person or pervert. I didn't know what that word meant. So I was calling my schoolmates hentai for the rest of the day. And good thing there were no adults to hear me, but man, I could have, went to detention or something if they heard me say
Yeah.
that.
Did anyone at your school know what it meant at the time, or like it was just
No,
they
it
also
was
just accepted? "Oh,
yeah,
okay, she's just calling us
yeah,
something, whatever,
yeah.
you know."
And I explained it to them like I thought it's a gay person, so I'm just calling you gay, And they're like, oh,
Right.
okay, he's hentai as well. Like,
Oh,
I started the hentai fan at school. Okay, so
nice.
Good God.
that's how it was for me growing up. And then of course, like what I've mentioned, if you will see my anime list or the list of animes that I have watched, most of them are around 2000s or early 90s and then 2000s until 2010. After that, I kind of stopped watching anime because I don't have the time. But in terms of gaming, like I said, I grew up with two brothers, so I totally understand what Arianne went through because I'm also the backseat gamer. That's where it started. Like for us, we are the living.
No one wants to give you the controller.
Yeah, no, because it's scary. Like they're playing Resident Evil, Fatal
Yeah.
Frame, those titles that gave me nightmares when I was a kid. So I couldn't play them. I always just watch them how to play it, and then we get to play RPGs. That's what made me really fall in love into video games, like RPGs, story-driven games, because like there are not a lot of gamers at school at the time. So
Yeah.
for me, I can only play single player games because you don't have to play with anyone. You can just play it by yourself and that's it. And then there are fighting games as well where I cry if I'm not the player one. I always have to be the player one. And see, I was in the middle of two boys. So if they don't let me hold the first controller, I will cry. I will just cry and tell, Daddy, they're not giving me the controller. What should we do about this? And my dad will be like, give her the controller. Give her player one. If not, I will shut that off. So my brothers will be like, okay, give us controller number 2. We will play number 2 instead. So that's the power of being the only girl in the family. So yeah, that's it with me. Like up until now,
You took advantage of that.
well, girl.
Yeah. until now, you're like, please, I'm the girl in this family. I need everything.
But I'm not the only girl anymore. Like
Oh,
afterwards, like I had a sister when I was 14, or I think 8 or 14. So the age gap was already huge. Like I
right.
already had time, like my interests were already formed at that time. So we
Mm.
had PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2, PlayStation 3. Up until now, I have the latest PlayStation 5. Yes. Finally.
Oh,
After
that was a
years of
present,
waiting.
right?
You're
Yeah.
lucky.
It was a present
Yeah.
from work. So, because
So lucky.
because you know how hard it is to get a pre-order. So I'm like, man, if
Oh,
you're
don't I
giving
know it?
me right,
Jeez.
like how many batches have went through, and it's really hard to get a
In the
console.
in the Philippines, it's already the last one.
Mm,
In I think that was October 15th.
mm,
Um, that was a 10th wave already.
mm.
I didn't bother trying to get one because ugh, I'm not gonna stress myself over that. I'm just gonna wait for the supply to just normalize.
Mm,
At this point, this is probably just me sour graping, but there's no point if you're just gonna get disappointed
mm,
afterwards. But
mm.
probably once the pandemic clears, which is what 2 years. Ooh.
I like the crying
I,
effect.
right. Yeah, but you're lucky because you can play, and you can probably get games off of the PS4
Yeah,
line,
yeah,
that because it is backwards compatible and played on the PS5. No worries. But
yeah.
in my case, if it's not gonna be easy to get it,
Then
so
yeah.
you're lucky.
And
That was my point.
And honestly, just to add, like it's not even worth it at this point to get a PlayStation 5 if you have a PlayStation 4. Because technically there's not a lot of games anyway. So if you have the PlayStation 5, I like if you have a PlayStation 4, there's no point for you to get a PlayStation 5 because there's not a lot of library. And what else? We did have an Xbox when I was growing up. Xbox and Dreamcast. I love Dreamcast. Like the line or the games that they released and that platform was so amazing. It's just so bad that they were not able to continue it. Like it just stopped. I'm not really familiar with the story behind it. But yeah, so that's how my story is regarding growing up with anime and you know, being in this rabbit hole as Arian said. So there.
Well, it is a rabbit hole. I mean, but it's a rabbit hole that I enjoy.
Like girl, it's
I don't mind falling into it.
it's actually like different. I mean, of course, it's different liking anime, liking video games. So I don't know. I really just find it interesting, especially RPGs, like video games in general. Like it really takes me away from reality. Like you
It's an
have,
escape. It
yeah, it
is.
is a form of
That's exactly what it is.
escapism, but you know, I just find it really interesting, especially the stories. Like, see, for example, Final Fantasy, of course, my favorite series, Final Fantasy. Like, they talk about a lot of deep stuff. Like, if you have played the old games now, like they've been talking about planetology, talking about overthrowing the
Yeah.
government. That
And it's
at
yeah.
that time I didn't
It's
understand.
it's art. It's art and a commentary
Mm,
on what real life is.
mm,
So that's why I love it.
mm.
I mean, you can escape, you can play, you can enjoy yourself, but at the same time, it is somehow still depicting what real life is. So
Mm. I forgot to share my cosplaying history. Wow, history! No, like, so I first started cosplaying at a Halloween party at school. So at that time, I was so addicted to Death Note. Have you seen Death Note? Do you guys know what Death Note is?
I
No?
do, but I've never seen it.
Yeah. So for me, I really like Chobits as well, but her costumes were so elegant. Like it's really dress, the Lolita type, right? That's very intricate and it's very hard to pull off for a Halloween party. So for me, I was looking at Amane Misa from Death Note and I was like, I just need a literal Death Note notebook and like the gothic attire. I'll be showing you guys a picture of it. So yeah, that was my first anime cosplay, and it wasn't a proper one. It's just like the ones that you buy from thrift store. That it's like the closet cosplay that they call. That you just make it up based on what you have available in your closet. So yeah, that was my first time um, cosplaying, and then
Cosplay.
afterwards I started attending conventions. At first, of course, I wasn't cosplaying yet. I was just a con goer, seeing people. It's really exciting for me at the time because up until now, actually, it's still exciting because at least you get to see people who are passionate with the same hobby that you have. So I get to see people dressing up with my favorite characters. I get to take pictures with them, which is exciting as well. And then I first cosplayed in a convention was Haruhi Suzumiya from the Melancholy of Haruhi Suzumiya. You
Yeah.
guys know. If you
I
know,
have the
you
book.
know.
I haven't seen the anime, but I do have the book.
Yeah. How about you? Have you tried cosplaying in a convention, Ariane?
Yes, yes, and only in the last few years at a convention. But similar to your experience, I actually also started dressing up for an office thing. So thank you, call center industry, for being the catalyst to this madness that is
Mm-hmm.
cosplay. But I'm saying madness, but I haven't really completely
Explore it.
delved into it. Yeah, if
Mm-hmm.
anything, I've only dabbled in it. So first cosplay was, I think, back in 2013,
Mm-hmm.
and it was a hodgepodge of things actually. Um, if I'm not mistaken, it was 2013, and I cosplayed Alice from American McGee's Alice
Mm-hmm.
video game.
Mm-hmm.
So the reason why I cosplayed that was when I went to visit a friend back in Dumaguete.
Mm-hmm.
So there were there was a strip along the beach. I was out on the beach, but somewhere along a strip there in Dumaguete, there were a bunch of thrift shops. And as I was browsing through the racks, I saw this dress. It wasn't an exact copy,
Mm-hmm.
but the look reminded me of Alice
Mm-hmm.
in American Mickey's Alice. So I got it, and it was just 50 pesos. So yay! So
Thrift stores.
I got
Woo!
that. Yeah, and that was around October, I think.
Mm.
And then I didn't have any costumes for the company event, and then I had that dress. So what I did was I put it together. I bought
Mm.
this ruffled lacy apron in Landmark
Mm-hmm.
for what, less than 100, and I put it together. I painted the sigils on the apron, put blood spatters, and then I googled the pepakura of the, what's this, Warple sword.
Mm-hmm.
So that was it. And then I got a wig from Landmark. Back at that time,
Landmark is
um,
the bomb.
Landmark, yes, because you could get wigs for less than 300, and they would be quality wigs. And I still have a couple of those in my collection right now, and they have stood the test of time. So that was the first one. So, and then about a year after that, whenever there was a recognition event at work, I would be called upon
To represent the
by
team.
most, yeah, by most folks to dress up, because I love going to Divisoria,
Mm.
okay? And when I with no particular reason in mind, just to go there, and I would pick up a couple of things here and there. Now I would see that, hey, this looks like it's gonna be a good for a costume, like a Japanese umbrella, yay! A cheongsam, yay! So whenever there would be parties, I would have these things that if you put them together, they could actually be a costume.
Mm.
So whenever there was an event or whenever there was a Halloween party that called for people to dress up, that's where I would shine, so to speak. So at one point, I was um, Alice in Wonderland as well. I was also the Red Queen,
Mm-hmm.
and what else? Wonder Woman,
I really like
and
your
then
Wonder
yeah,
Woman costume. I saw
yes,
it.
thank you.
I saw
I
it.
really need to see
Actually,
all these photos of you guys like
I will.
cosplaying and
I'll
stuff.
no, we
Like
can probably prepare
this needs
something and
visuals.
put it in an episode.
We
Put
will
it in
show
an
you.
episode.
Yeah. And I also
Yeah.
had
Oh
other
God.
characters like Rise Kojikawa from Persona series. And if you guys have played Tekken, I've done
Yeah.
Asuka Kasama.
Mhm.
Yeah, Asuka
Ooh.
Kasama. Woo! You couldn't
How old were
imagine me
you
doing it.
when you dressed up as that?
I was in uni. So
Okay, okay.
yeah, around
Age
six. No, no.
appropriate.
Yeah, whoa. But she is age appropriate. Just not some of her costumes, but then. Okay, but wait. I'm really curious about your story, Amy, because you grew up in Dubai. You were born and raised in UAE. So I
Yeah.
wanted to know the experience. Like, how is it different from my
Yeah.
experience and
How's it
from
different?
Arian's experience, right? So yeah.
Yeah. I mean, over here, I mean, it's not like, I mean, you've been living here for like 2, 3 years now, and then you can
Mhm.
clearly see, like, I mean, yeah, okay, we have like our Comic Con. I remember going to the first one. It was like, oh, I don't know, like in 2010, which is like
Mhm.
so recent compared to like other places. And so people here don't really like dress up as much. And like if you've ever gone to like a Comic Con, it's always like, I mean, like you guys, you go to the stores and then you pick this, or maybe
Divisoria.
you go
Mhm.
to Divisoria and then you pick certain things and then you check it out, or like you buy materials and you stitch it up, stuff like that. You don't do that here. You kind of just like, I guess it's this lifestyle, is this that city life of like always just
Ready
wanting things
made. Yeah.
immediately and ready made. So people would just buy costumes, and most of the costumes that you would buy anyway are like, I don't know, stormtroopers, something that like you can just like put
Generic.
on, huh?
I'm sorry for the term. I said generic. I'm
Yeah,
like,
yeah. I
sorry,
mean,
guys.
yeah.
But it's
Basically,
easy. It's
yeah,
popular.
something that's easy and popular. You can just put on, and it's like, okay, here it is,
I'm in
and
a
that's it.
costume.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm in a costume. You
Mhm.
don't have to do the whole makeup and the hair and trying to look like someone else. So there is that, and then in even like watching anime here was completely different. It
Mhm.
was so back when we were kids, like unless you had cable, like you didn't even have uh like we had the Disney Channel and Nickelodeon and all of that, but it was in Arabic.
Mm.
So
Oh.
so it was in Arabic. And
Okay.
unless you had cable, you couldn't see them in English.
Mhm.
And even if you had cable, the anime would still be in Arabic. So
Anime, like,
like
it's.
anime was dubbed into Arabic. So whether you had cable or not, like cartoons, like if you
Mhm.
didn't have cable, it wasn't the free channels, but it would be in Arabic. If you had cable, the cartoons would be in English, except for anime. So in both scenarios, you were just like stuck with Arabic anime. So it's either you learn Arabic,
Speak the
which we do.
language.
Yeah. I mean, which we did. We did learn Arabic, but it's not like, I mean, it's not like we speak it. So it's
Mhm.
not like it's retained in your head. So
You just
I would
get the
only,
context of it, right?
yeah. So you would just
Yeah.
kind of see it, and then it's
Mhm.
like, okay, but I don't really know what's going on. So I would mostly watch anime when I would go to Philippines on holiday. So I would go to
Mhm.
Philippines every single year. And so in like ABS-CBN, like in the mornings when like my cousins went to school, it would like play, right? Like when
Mm.
all the kids are in school and like, okay, I'm alone at
You're the only
home.
one.
let me just let me just watch this. So yeah, so I remember seeing a lot of a lot of anime that I remember seeing Astro Boy,
Yeah,
Naruto,
Astro Boy. Mhm.
Detective Conan.
Mhm.
Yeah, I've seen that, and it was all like Filipino dub. So for the longest time,
Ah,
all
yeah,
these,
yeah, it
yeah,
is. They have
yeah,
even Filipino names.
yeah, yeah. See, I didn't, see, I didn't know they were Filipino names for the longest time. I've just been watching
Yeah.
dubs, okay? So out of no choice of my own. So, so because I was just on holiday and it was just sort of a thing to watch when I was alone.
Mhm.
Uh, I never really followed the anime. Um,
Mm.
yeah. So then I came to the age where we were renting DVDs.
Mhm.
So there was like this place very near my house where they would rent out DVDs, and every single time, like I would go there every weekend just to get new DVDs. but
Mhm.
like I would always get Spirited Away and Pokemon Forever. Like it didn't matter that I watched it.
Pokemon
Like
Forever.
yeah. I don't know. I was in love with Celebi. I mean, not like I really like for me, like oh, Celebi is like the cutest little Pokemon. So and like I would tear up every single time. Like yeah. So for me, that was so I would always rent that out. So I would like, oh, here's something interesting and my two usuals. Um,
Two
so yeah,
usuals. I'm like, I'm not going out of the store without these two.
yeah,
That's
like
it.
oh, and then like obvious, like eventually I did gradually watch other animes. Like I remember I watched Ponyo. I think I rented Ponyo. I'm trying to remember what I rented specifically, but
Ponyo.
yeah. So it was like I'm not sure if I did. I It's like so hazy because like I only rented like the two, and then like everything else was just cash. I'm committed. I'm
But
committed
wait,
to
wait.
these two.
I'm just trying to compare Amy's experience. She's renting out DVDs, but for me, I'm buying in North Mall and Quiapo the pirated ones that are in
Oh, come
plastic
on. Yeah. Yeah,
that are
and
so pixelated.
okay, this is in the past, okay?
Yeah. Oh yeah,
For
yeah.
anyone watching
I
who
mean,
who might have weird ideas about it. In the past,
yeah.
there weren't any
That's
Yeah.
the only
resources
way for
like
you to watch.
available
Yeah.
to us. Like
We gotta work with what
yeah,
we have.
and
I mean,
Look at
man,
me
if they're not
watching
giving us,
yeah,
you
that's
know,
true.
Filipino dubs.
Yeah, it's either you have it on Animax,
but girl,
which does have
I forgot
limited.
to mention. I
Yeah, some
forgot
it.
to mention our Animax was also not legal. I mean, it's like you have a cable subscription, but I didn't know that my parents were not paying for it. I'm like,
Yeah, see, that's
oops.
of no fault of your own.
I mean, guys, I was a
Yes,
kid. I didn't
Yeah.
know,
that is in no
right?
way incriminating.
So it wasn't my fault. I didn't know. So yeah, I mean that's the only way for us. And you were saying something, Ariane, that about the pirated
Yeah, but
ones.
yeah, and at that time I did also get to visit Divisoria and some of the outskirts there, some of the esquinitas
Mm.
there, the alleys right there would have sellers. It was back then. It was 25 pesos per
Yeah.
disc.
No, for me it
So
was
if
50, but you only have or 50-40, but you only have 2 or 3 episodes of Naruto. But those are the highest
yeah, but
quality, like the HD ones.
But this
Considered
sounds
HD.
expensive just for a pirated CD, no? I mean,
But
like,
girl, if you want the quality,
yeah, if you really
yeah,
want, you are gonna
you
cough up
will
the
pay
money. Yeah,
because if
and
you
yeah,
you can buy a 50 pesos worth of CD that has the
yeah, but
complete
it's
episode
gonna be
of Naruto. Like
it's gonna be
yeah, it's
crappy.
gonna be crappy. It's gonna be like there will be episodes that are missing a few scenes or whatnot. So yeah, like for me, I want the quality. I want the
yeah.
HD experience at
And
the
it was
time.
subbed. Like the
Yeah, it is
thing was
sub,
subbed.
and the quality, like I said, is HD at that point. So
Yeah.
even the I never skipped anime opening and ending songs. So yeah, like I'm just trying to compare that experience to Amy that
Yeah,
I grew
Yeah.
up
and
buying CDs.
that's a very valid that's a very valid notion or thought that and there are different experiences when it comes to the exposure.
Mm,
So
Yeah.
for Amy, it's more of it was easy for her because it was being shown. At the very least, the limitations for the language was kind
was
of
there,
like
yeah.
Yeah.
the crappy part. But for us in the Philippines, it's more of you really have to be resourceful,
Because
right?
Yeah.
technically
Because
Japan wasn't recognizing us at that point because of the
yeah.
piracy.
Oh,
Because of the
oh,
piracy.
come
Up
on.
Right.
until
Up
now.
until up until now, we don't even have our own PSN
Yeah. Oh
store.
my god. We don't
Jeez,
have.
and I think that's part of the reason why we don't have it yet because we were so
Our
what we were
image. Yeah,
such
our image with Japan is just so
trying to find
ruined.
the right term that won't be derogatory. No, it's because of the piracy. It's because of the piracy,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and and not that I'm justifying it, but it really was very difficult at that
Mhm.
time, especially between I don't know late 90s up until now probably. Without if torrents, if streaming didn't come uh, didn't come up, we would probably still be not downloading, even buying these CDs. And
Yeah.
And
you were saying earlier, Amy, that it was expensive. It was, and you can imagine on a student's allowance
mm,
or a very little pay. If you're really passionate about these
you
things,
will
you would have to
save.
be
Yeah.
Yeah.
resourceful,
I
Hmm.
mean,
right?
I'm
And
not
you would
like
need to network.
right,
And
but
like
it's not like
borrow
I was a
CDs,
hundred.
with your
But I wasn't
friends.
like 100% clean, guys. Like high school came and LimeWire came, and that's like a completely
Oh
different.
yeah,
Girl,
yeah. LimeWire was just a cancer. It's a
LimeWire,
cancer.
best way to give AIDS to your PC,
Yeah,
Like
right?
how
it
else
was a
would you
risk
do
that you had to take.
anything?
Yeah.
Yeah, I
It
mean
was a risk
everything
that
was
you had to take.
there. Like
You just had to scan it right after downloading it just to make sure that it's not
Girl, at
a
our
yeah,
age,
malware, right?
we were not scanning shit. We will just download it and just let it play. That's it.
And this
Right?
is why
This
I
is
have a
why.
Mac. This is why I have a Mac, so I don't have to worry about those
Yeah.
things.
So
yeah.
anything else,
But yeah,
Amy, about your
S-
experience?
yeah.
Sorry, because
So
we got caught up with the
like it's
conversation.
completely different. Yeah, no. I totally get it. I mean, it's completely different. And like, I mean, even then when I was renting the DVDs, I they were all in English. Like it never
Mhm.
occurred to me it was Japanese. Like to be honest, yeah, no.
Oh.
I mean I knew they were Japanese cartoons, but I never clicked. I'm pretty dumb. Okay, so like very recently, dude, you're gonna think I'm really dumb, but like very recently, I found out Pokemon like was originally was originally Japanese dub.
Japanese!
No,
Yeah!
I knew it was a Japanese cartoon, but I was like, oh, they just like made it English. I don't know. My brain wasn't like clicking. It didn't connect any dots. And
You
then
were
very,
today years old.
yeah, like this was like I don't know, like maybe 2 months ago. And Nico's my boyfriend, and he was like, "Are you serious, Amy? They even have different names in the Japanese version." I'm like, what?
What?
You're telling me Ash says Nani? And then he's like, yeah, Ash says Nani. I'm like, what are you talking about? And then like he was showing me all these Pokemon like videos of them speaking Japanese and all their Japanese names. Like Jigglypuff's name is different and everything. And it's like, what the fuck? Is it? I just swear. What is going on? Like
yeah, I think that's warranted. I think that's warranted.
that was
You get a pass for that.
yeah, I got a
You
pass for
get
that.
you get a pass for that.
Like the
So
biggest WTF of your life.
yeah.
Like my childhood was what? Lying to me?
They
What?
weren't
My
speaking
childhood
English.
was a lie.
So you're saying Chihiro's name is not English? No, I'm just kidding. So no, so then later on, because like it wasn't like a very frequent thing.
Mm.
When me and Nico started dating, uh I mean I did date guys that were like into anime, but that's a different story altogether. But when me and Nico started dating, he was like, okay, like you never watched Naruto properly. Like it's something that you should watch. Like you'll actually really get into
Anime
it. And I was
101.
like, yeah, you'll actually really get into it. And I'm like, okay, you want me to watch this kid show and you'll think I'll be into it. Fine, whatever. And then
Wait,
and I
wait,
really,
you
really
just said kids show. Like,
I watched it when I was a
you were
kid, so for
saying.
me. So for me. So when I watched Shippuden
Mm.
just because like most of them were flashbacks anyway, and then like eventually I did watch like Naruto itself, like a lot of the core scenes and everything. But yeah, and then from there, like I really did like Naruto, and then I watched a lot of anime that I did see before that like I never really got into, and then like I just watched it properly this time, and then I was like, oh, okay. And then you know I started watching a lot of anime since then.
Mm.
Was there a but like I mean that was like our origin stories, right? But was there a time that you guys just stopped watching anime, or like you stopped like anything
Gaming.
like that? You guys stopped
Yeah.
gaming?
For me, what happened was when I was in uni, I got so addicted to, like, for me it was always a balance between anime and video games. But when I was in high school, I was more into anime more than video games. So we had a PlayStation 2 or 3 back then. But for me, anime was the life. Anime
Yeah.
was everything. So I was watching a lot of animes at that time, but I wasn't playing a lot of video games. That's why for me, PS3 was the era that I wasn't really into. So yeah, but in terms of gaming, the only time that I literally stopped gaming was when I came to Dubai.
Mhm.
So when I first came here, I thought I will only be here for a few months, like maximum of 3 years. And life happens, shit happens. So I got stuck here, and I'm like, okay, so I left my laptop or I left my console back home. The only way that I can play video games is through my laptop. So I got stuck with the laptop. I was thinking, should I buy a PS4? Should I wait for the PS5 and stuff? For the past 2 years, that was the debate in my mind. But yeah, things happened. I got a PS5, and that's it for me. Like it was a very but overall my life just revolved around anime, cosplay, gaming. That's it. I would stop maybe with one of those three, just because I'm focusing on one of the other three, right?
Oh,
Like like you're focusing on cosplay, and then you're focusing on anime, and then gaming, right? So that's how it was for me. But how about
okay.
you?
Are you serious? Are you serious with that last thing that you said that you're gonna stop with just what one thing?
Not
Are you serious?
not stop,
You
but
think
that's just like a pause, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe a pause was the right term, not stop. Because I didn't totally stop. Like I'm still into it. It's just that my attention can only do this. Especially you guys know adulting
with work
thingy.
and
Yeah.
everything?
Yeah,
Yeah.
so
Yep.
we have
Yeah,
to
but
be
that's
responsible
that's
adults.
true.
Unless I want to go
Yeah, but
sleep deprived at work, and watch anime
Yeah. Who
all
needs work
yeah,
anyway?
that's a difficult thing.
Yeah, that's a totally different story for all of us, not only me.
Yeah.
So,
Of
how
course.
about you, Amy? Did you stop or had a pause, a gap?
I think mm, no, because the thing with me is I always watch. I mean, for me with gaming, yes, there's always this huge pause for me in gaming.
Mm-hmm.
All throughout my life, I didn't get into my whole gaming story. Maybe we can talk about that next time. But like
Mm-hmm.
for gaming, there's always like a huge gap. But for watching shows, not just anime, for watching shows or in general, I don't stop. Like for me, it's a constant thing. Even if I'm really
Yeah.
busy, whenever I have time, so that's why with my friends, whenever they mention a show, it's like, oh yeah, of course I've seen that. I've seen that. Like I know all these references just
Mhm.
because like I'm a loser and all I do is watch TV shows.
You're a loser. Like, oh, okay. How about you, Arian? Was there a time?
That I paused.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, it was kind of intermittent through the years, and most of the time it was because I had to adult,
Yeah.
and maybe for a couple of years or more than a couple of years, but not too long ago even. It was when I would be I guess too depressed to kind of appreciate stuff, and I'm actually just getting back into the so-called groove of finding joy in the things that interest me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And that actually that's the beauty of being a geek, because it kind of takes me away from the sad stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So um when if we're gonna be talking about pauses, I guess the most concrete time frame that I can give would be probably between 2015 up until 2017.
Mm-hmm.
So but those were the most solid pauses that I've had when I didn't really um, get involved in much of the stuff that I was really into.
Mm-hmm.
But after 2017, it was full speed ahead, and it was now it's not just gaming, it's not just cosplaying, it's a whole slew of things at this point. And I'm just glad that I got back, because especially with the pandemic,
Yeah.
it's something that takes you away from the stress, the cabin fever. And I'm just glad that there are things like this that, I mean, even at the comfort of your own home, you can actually get into it and kind of forget about what's going on, or even not forget, but somehow help you cope through it. So between the process, I'm glad I'm here. Yeah,
But wait,
that's what.
one last
Yeah.
thing also that I wanted to talk about, guys, because see, this podcast is going to cater to different levels of anime fans. Whether you're
Right.
new to anime, whether you're just starting, you're a veteran weeb, or maybe more weeb than all of us three combined. It's for
Mhm.
everyone. So for me, I just want to ask you guys, what would be your gateway anime for someone who is not familiar with it? Or something that you would introduce to your friend, like, hey, try to watch this. This is cool. So what do you
Oh,
think?
that's
For
hard.
for me, like I would introduce Spirited Away and Your Name, just because like they're movies, they're short, and they have like good storytelling enough that it's
That's
enough
it.
for you not to, it's not too geeky for you to like, oh, okay, there's like too many like levels of like I don't understand what's going on.
Huh.
There's not much you have to know about Japanese culture or anything like that. And yeah, and it's just sports. So those would be my two.
Mm. How about you, Arian? And especially for you, because since you mentioned earlier that that you're new to the anime world and you want to know more, but would you recommend anything?
I would have to agree with Your Name because that it's probably going to appeal
Mm,
to a whole list of people. Like it's a love story
yeah,
technically, it's fantasy, and it's completely up to date with the times.
Mm.
Like and the animation is lovely, and for people who want to go to Japan, it's
yeah,
it's it's an actual representation of Japan.
Mm.
I mean, if you go to
exactly.
Japan, you can actually see the places that they featured there. So that is one of the things that I would probably recommend. That's that's really going to appeal to a lot of people. I'm trying to come up with anything because I wouldn't want anyone to just go immerse themselves in Grave of the Fireflies without a fair
Right.
warning because it's
Yeah.
Yeah.
but it's a great movie. It's a great movie.
Mm,
But as for shows, and I'm just speaking from experience because I just look at titles, let's say on Netflix, and just really look at the description. And if you're gonna come up to someone who doesn't have any background in anime, I would say Cabaneri is a good place to
Mhm.
start because it's such a badass
Mhm.
series. So I guess that's one of the things I could recommend.
Mm. But for me, you guys were saying Your Name, Cabaneri. For me, I was thinking about the hardcore stuff, and I'm like, man, I should change my decision now.
you don't have
You
to
gotta
change your
think fast.
decision. I
No,
mean, for you, if you feel like, oh, this person doesn't know anime, here's a whatever your title. I mean,
yeah.
that's you.
Because
That's
for
you.
me,
Yeah.
the first thing that I would recommend them will be Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood.
I
Number
love
one,
that.
just because it's just so good. It's like I mean, for me, that is the best anime so far that I've watched. A lot of
Okay.
people are saying that Attack on Titan is better if you've watched the whole
Mm,
thing, but I haven't watched it. So for now, I will say Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. And at the same time, it's available on Netflix. You can easily
right.
watch it there. So yeah. And then what else? Honestly, I will depend it to whoever I'm talking to. Like my anime recommendation will totally depend. If I feel
That's
like
true.
this person is,
Mm,
has already watched some of these, or it will be
yeah.
like that. But
Yeah,
another,
it's good.
yeah, like another anime that I would recommend probably would be Death Note, just because it's
Yeah.
such a masterpiece as well. Like
I think
it's
that's
so
what got
good.
a lot of people into anime. Even here, like even
Mhm.
those that weren't like super hardcore into anime, they've seen Death Note, like even read the manga and stuff. So
Yeah,
yeah, I think that is a good recommendation for someone who
yeah.
needs to start.
So
What's a fun anime to watch? I mean,
One Punch
there's cells at
Man.
work that I'm.
Yeah, One
Oh,
Punch
I've seen
Man.
Mob Psycho 100. Yeah.
I've seen a couple of episodes of One Punch Man,
Yeah.
It's
but
just a
how about a
literal
cute
Yeah.
stuff?
cute
Oh,
stuff.
cutesy stuff. Uh oh no, but all the cute stuff I know are
I've seen
sad
K
because
on. Oh,
yeah,
Mm.
no, I love sad stories, so
Wait, I'm thinking of cute anime. It depends on what's your definition of cute, girl.
yeah.
Like, what do you find cute? What do you find cute? Tell me, then I'll think of something.
okay. Okay, I did enjoy K on.
Okay.
And a couple episodes
Do you
of
want
Cells at Work. So
rom-com or just pure comedy or
we could probably do an episode on that.
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
so
yeah.
I
I mean, we
I'd
don't have
be
to talk about
on my
everything tonight.
yeah. Yeah. So we could probably do an episode on that because at this point with work and stuff
yeah.
going on, I think the first few things that I'd like to get a head start on would be stuff would be light-hearted and probably just you sit down in front of the TV, you watch it, you don't need a lot of you know
Oh,
brain power to
Mm.
Kami
process.
can't
Just
communicate.
really just enjoy what you're
Yeah,
watching.
Kami can't communicate. Like Kami can't communicate. It just came out on Netflix. I think that would also be suitable. Like
Mm.
as something that's fun and lighthearted and yeah.
Mm. Yeah, I really
Okay,
agree with
okay.
that we need to have a separate episode because I think like with the numbers of genre that's coming out lately with anime, oh my god. Like I can't even wrap and every season or every 3 months there are new animes coming out.
Yeah.
So the genres are just
Yeah, that's the thing. Exactly. And I think that's what kind of intimidates me.
mm,
to be
Okay.
to be completely honest, that there are new things coming up every few days, every few months,
mm,
that hey, this is nice, and then just when you're about to start something and then a new one comes along. Like, for I'll give you a specific example. I've been meaning to watch the little girl with the thing in her mouth and she's a
Demon
demon. It's a
Slayer.
Yeah, yeah.
yeah. I've been
Girl, my expression
I've
was
been
like
meaning
I know that, I know that.
see I've been meaning to watch that because and the main reason why I really want to take that on is because I think it would be a nice thing to cosplay, but for me, before you cosplay something, you kind of need to
To
Watch.
know
be
who the
involved in
character
it, kind of need to
is, yeah.
know who the characters are. I've been meaning to watch that, but I've just been so saturated, overwhelmed by a lot of the merch,
Mm,
people talking
Yeah.
about it, that hey, I think I need to step away from it before I actually watch it because I'm kind of getting drowned with all of the noise.
mhm.
Yeah.
Totally
Well,
agree. And for me, I think you don't have to feel pressured with all of the new animes coming
Yeah.
out because, girl, it will be super overwhelming. Like,
yeah.
even if, because I think of that in a video game scene. Like, my God, every year there's a lot of video games coming out, and I haven't finished this one game, two games, three games that I have. So I feel like just choose a
Backlog.
girl.
And I
It's
think
not,
that's what this I think
yeah.
that's what our podcast is as well. It helps people like Arian feel less overwhelmed by something like
Mhm.
that because we're narrowing down
Exactly.
you know,
Things
like
that you can watch
things that you
that
can
you would
watch
like.
and yeah.
So yeah, I totally agree with that. Anything else that you girls want to add to this episode?
No, I'm just really happy that we've started it. I mean, technical difficulties and all, but yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's gonna be great. I think it's
Yeah.
it's a journey for all of us.
Yeah. So we do apologize, guys, for the technical difficulties for this episode. There were a lot,
Yeah,
but as we go through along this podcast, of course, we will do better,
yeah, of
right?
course.
Yeah. So there. Anything you guys wanna plug? Share your social media handles
Uh,
for our followers. Well, followers.
just don't forget to like and subscribe.
Yeah. Like
Like
and
and
I
subscribe.
actually
stuff like that.
I have
Whatever people say.
I have no content yet on my page, so When
Yeah.
I have content, I will be sharing it.
Okay.
At this point, I only have my personal stuff, but that's gonna happen.
How about,
The more I get, the more I feel confident, I guess.
well, we'll get to that. How about you,
Yeah.
Amy? Anything you want to plug or share?
No, I mean, you can follow our Instagram handles. I don't know if John will just put them there, or, but it's at @Amy. And yeah, of course, follow Ara Ara Podcast on Instagram as well.
Not only on podcast, we have YouTube account and Facebook
Yeah.
page that you can follow. Both are Ara Ara Podcast. For me, you can follow me on Instagram. That's Vivz Black Mage. And hopefully soon I'll do streaming again. This is gonna be like for me just putting it out there as a motivation for me. Like, girl, you told them that you will do this, so you have to do this.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Oh, and we might be doing TikTok as well, and Snapchat and all the other socials. So just watch out for that.
Yes. So yeah, that's it. Thank you so much, guys, for staying and for listening to Ara Ara Podcast and for watching as well. You have a wonderful day.
Yeah. Enjoy.
See you. Bye.